Welcome to Florida Realtor Studio. I'm your host, Megan Clementi. It may surprise you to know that almost 500,000 Floridians have a real estate license. Another 238,000 practitioners adhere to a strict code of ethics and therefore earn the title of Realtor. Of those 238,000, 19 are now board certified and endorsed by Florida Realtors, the state's largest trade organization. You're about to meet one of the first 19 and discover what's in it for you to work with them for your next real estate transaction. But what does it take to be the best of the best? This prestigious group of professionals delivers an extremely high level of service combined with world-class skills developed and fortified by decades of industry knowledge and experience. They combine a strong moral compass with an incredibly deep connection to their community. And they support legislators who support home ownership. Join us for the next few minutes as we get to know one of the best in the business, one of Florida's first 19 board-certified realtors. Adam Gurske, or should I say board-certified Adam Gurske, welcome.
Yes, thank you.
That must feel amazing.
It does. It does. Big accomplishment.
Huge accomplishment. So much so, you're one of only 19 out of 238,000 Florida realtors that now have been endorsed with that board certification. That is quite the honor.
It is. Very proud of it.
You know, as a prospective customer, you're really going to want to listen to what Adam has to say because he's in this for you and he has a lot of valuable information. Now, Adam, you've been doing this a long time. How long has it been?
10 years.
Wow. 10 years. You've seen a lot.
Yes.
You've done a lot.
Yes.
That brings me confidence knowing that you've been doing it this long.
Absolutely.
What is your education background?
Well, having the experience is key, but the education component is key. So started at the University of Florida, graduated with a degree in business management and real estate. And like many realtors, started the alphabet soup. So lots of designations, certifications along the way. So lots of education. It's key. I have to know what I'm doing so I can help you know what you're doing and ultimately be the calm in the storm, and being educated is key to that.
Well, it's an ever-changing field, right?
Yes.
So how do you keep up to date with all the information that's coming in? Because every transaction is different than the previous.
Right, and it truly is. So really being plugged in. So whether that's a webinar, a class, education, as we just talked about, very, very important because things are ever changing. And as soon as you know it, something changes, throws your curveball, and you're learning something new. So always, always, always learning. And then really just the experience, helping buyers and sellers every single day and evolving with things is what keeps you on your toes.
So you're evolving. How does
Yes.
that help the consumer?
So again, keeping them up to speed with what they need to know. A consumer doesn't know what they don't know. So they come to me to be the expert, and I need to give them that expert advice along the way. So the more I know, the more I can transfer to them, the more empowered they are to make a decision, and the better the transaction moves along.
Amazing. How are you connected to your community?
For me, it all started about 9 years ago. I was in a meeting and heard that there were over 500 homeless kids in Alachua County.
Wow.
And that number was shocking. And at the same time, I was looking to get involved in something in the community. So almost 9 years ago, I joined the board for Family Promise of Gainesville. And it's been a huge passion of mine. I've been on the board since. Been treasurer, been president, and hopefully have helped change the lives for hundreds of people that really, really needed us at a time of need when they were facing homelessness.
Hopefully, clearly you have made a difference. You've given them a home. What a lot of people don't realize is it's not just the commitment to the community, but it's also the commitment to all homeowners by supporting those in the legislative branch that actually support home ownership. How is it that you do that, Adam?
Yes, I'm a firm believer in you got to have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
And so again, it's a little bit of both. So I get my information and education through my activity through NAR, the National Association, and Florida Realtors. So I'm on the Housing Opportunities Committee at National Association of Realtors. That helps me have the network and get the information to pass on to legislators. So what's very important is to take the information and actually apply it. So kind of bridge that gap between the public and private sector and hopefully affect change in legislature.
So there's actually that fourth category, or should I say benefits, that goes along with it, and that's that you had to demonstrate, you had to prove this in-depth knowledge of the contractual details of a transaction. Why is a higher level of understanding the transaction really beneficial for both the buyer or the seller?
Yeah, so of course they come to us because we have the answers and we have the knowledge. So I have to have the knowledge and the information to pass along to them. So really making sure that I know. So whether that's going to a class, whether that's sitting in a committee meeting where they're actually reviewing the contract, being again at the table and learning to pass it back to a customer, because there are a lot of nuances. There's a lot of things that can trip a buyer or a seller up. And so really knowing and saying, hey, look, this is around the corner. You need to look out for this. Saves them time, saves them money, and ultimately makes it as smooth a transaction as it can be.
So you can't even check off that box if you don't have the education aspect first. Now you're 10 years in with all that experience. Can you give me an example of how your education and your knowledge of the transaction really played out to the maximum benefit for your customer?
Yeah, so I just had a first-time home buyer close on a very affordable home with an FHA loan. So all of that to say that's a hard feat. And when we were getting pretty close to closing, we found a lien that the seller had, and they were able to satisfy that, and the seller was able to pay for it. So had we not known that and really investigated, make sure we did that search, it could have cost the buyer an extra $1,000 after closing.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, especially at a price point when I'm struggling maybe to come up with that money for, we know it's expensive buying your first home, so it was a big deal for them.
Between the education, the community service, all this experience that you have now acquired, what is your favorite thing about being a realtor?
So really is when we get to closing and I see the joy and the excitement and knowing that I was a part of that. And it's very important to me when we get done with closing. Of course, I want to know how I did. I want the grade. And so most of them give me an A. And that's really what it's all about, knowing that I really made a meaningful impact and hopefully that they really needed me to be a part of this journey.
And that's you, Adam. That is totally you. Now you have this board certification.
Yes.
So what does a buyer or seller need to know that now you're board certified? What are they getting by hiring you?
The best.
Yeah.
That they're really
True.
working with somebody that, kind of checks all the boxes and has spent the time getting here. The experience is what matters. The knowledge is what matters. And a full perspective of all the things that I do to ultimately help them is what matters.
I laughed when you said the best, but I mean, you're one of 19.
That's right.
You are the best. Congratulations for receiving that endorsement from Florida Realtors.
Thank you.
You are board certified and you should be congratulated.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, board certified realtor, Adam Gurske.